Hello. So in this video, we're going to talk about putting borders into resumes. This is actually quite technically easy. It's not that difficult to do. It's not tricky. And it's a pretty good design element for resumes. Now, obviously, there are as many design choices for resumes as there are people willing to give you design advice. There's nothing sort of magical or required about this, as with everything with resumes, but borders are a really good way of visually distinguishing sections. So that's a really useful technique. I'm going to go ahead and share this document. So this is based on a version of the Smeal template. Here at Penn State, the Smeal College of Business uses a resume that looks basically like this. This is a slight variation, but generally speaking, right? As always, there's nothing sort of that says this version of the resume is better than any other, but what we can do with this resume is to show the way that borders work. So this does actually have borders already in it, right? This set of lines across underneath the section headings, these are borders, right? So that's quite easy to do. Now, you can attempt to do this by hand, right? So if I have a new section heading like this one right here, and I press Control U or Command U on a Mac, or if I go up here and click the underline button, right? So that has now underlined that text, but it's only underlined that text. If I wanted to try by hand to create a border with that, then I'm going to use probably the tab function and tab and tab. Oh no, I've gone too far. It's dropped down. So I need to go back, and then I'm going to try and get just to the very end of that line with the underlining. The problem with this, because of the way that typefaces work and font sizes work, is that if I tried to do this by hand, it almost certainly will look irregular, right? The borders will not, the lines will not come quite up to the same spot. Also, if I then click enter and start putting in info, then I will have to, un-underline that. So that's an additional headache. But I can get Microsoft Word to do this for me automatically, and it is quite simple and straightforward. So if I go up here and if I create a new section heading, what I'm going to do is select all of that text, and then all I have to do is go up here to this paragraph menu. Now, depending on which version of Microsoft Word you're working with, it may not say paragraph, but it will look something like this, right? It will have this general set of icons. And what I'm looking for is this guy right here. So it's a square with a solid bottom line, and then a top and sides and an inner cross, all in a perforated line or dotted line. That's the borders menu. It will also have this little drop down menu here, and I'll show you that in just a second, but it should default to a bottom border. So if I select the text I want the border under, and then just click this, it will put in that border, and that will look exactly the same each time, right? It will be the same length. It will end at exactly the same place. So I will have that consistency, and I don't have to worry about trying to do it by hand. Now, there are other border options like top borders, left borders, right borders, all borders, outside borders. For the most part with resumes, you're not going to worry about any of those. Bottom border is generally the only thing that you would want to use. So again, this is a really, really good one for creating distinct section breaks, dividing the information, and making it very visually easy to distinguish. The other thing that you can do with a border, and I generally not recommend this unless you're in like a design heavy field, like the arts, graphic design, web design, something like that, where aesthetics is a part of the job, is you can put a border around the entire resume. I have seen some design heavy resumes that do that. And in order to do that, you're going to go over here to design. I'm going to pull myself slightly down, and there's this page borders menu up over here, and you can select the type of border that you would want, right? So there's different styles, different sort of perforation degrees, different thicknesses. You can select a box, which is going to put the entire thing around it. Shadow is going to create that effect. 3D is going to create that effect, right? So if we put a box of, let's say, triple thing on there, right? So it'll put that on there. For the most part, for resumes, you're not going to want this. It's a design element. It can look quite cool, but it's not traditional for a resume. So especially for professional fields, white collar fields, in especially more sort of old school fields like banking, accounting, law, things like that, I would avoid going design heavy. But for some fields, again, especially things that are more creative, something like a border can be aesthetically interesting, but I would generally say avoid it. But using these borders from the borders tab to create visual breaks, that's a really good design element. And that's all. That's all you have to do, is literally just select the text you want and click bottom border. That has adjusted the type of border. It normally will not default to triple lines. I've just changed the borders menu. I didn't realize it was going to do that, that it was going to do that consistently. So just generally leave that page borders option alone, and your borders tab up here should function properly.